Hello everyone and welcome to the Q&A video that I promised. I got all of your questions in front of me, at least I hope it's all of them. Um, these are some of the questions I found in the comment section of my last video and also underneath the community posts that I've been making. So I'm sorry if I missed some questions here, but I think I got them all. There weren't that many. So yeah, let's start. I'm just gonna freestyle this here right now because I haven't really read through all of the questions yet. Um, so I haven't prepared anything. So let's start with the first question here. This is from someone named Mini. Do you struggle with any programming field, writing compilers? How often do you meet programmers, maybe colleagues, who you feel you could still learn something from, or is it you who usually the mentor? Do you have any planned projects for video series on your channel anytime soon? Um, so I guess there's multiple questions in here. The first one is, do you struggle with any programming fields, for example, writing compilers? Yeah, writing compilers is always a struggle. It's pretty difficult actually. Um, but in short, I could say that I'm not an expert in any specific area. I just know a little bit of everything. I'm not saying I know everything. I'm just saying I know a little bit of a lot of random stuff because um, I can get very attached to different subjects, and then I like change subject the next week. So, for example, recently I've been very interested in ray marching. So I've been doing a lot of ray marching, uh, and sometimes I'm very interested in writing compilers, and sometimes I'm very interested in writing physics engines. Um, I have like different there's like different time periods where my interests change, and because of that, I kind of struggle a little bit in all areas that I can think of, because I don't learn the areas thoroughly. I just touch on the surface because I'm I'm just attached onto that subject for a little while before I get bored of it. Um, but I can't right now think of anything specifically that I struggle um, like that I struggle extra with. Um, um, I know one thing that I have gotten a lot of headache from is like floating point precisions when doing math. For example, when I wrote the physics engine, some of the algorithms I use are very sensitive to floating point precision issues. Uh, and I had a lot of struggle with that. Um, and sometimes I also have a bit of a struggle to understand other people's code. Um, and I know this is a common thing among programmers that sometimes it's difficult to understand other people's code. So sometimes that's a bit of a struggle, but usually I can figure out what someone else's code is doing if I spend some time with it, unless they have like golf coded or something and made it very compact. Um, how often do you meet programmers, maybe colleagues, who you feel you could still learn something from, or is it you who usually is the mentor? I would say it's a little bit of both. Sometimes I meet programmers or colleagues that I learn a lot from. They teach me stuff, and sometimes I'm the mentor. It kind of depends on the situation, I guess. I don't like being a mentor, but sometimes, like, I've had a boss that had put me in a mentor position uh, because he thought I was suitable for it. but it's not something I prefer to be, because I don't think that I don't know. I think it's more fun to learn things than compared to teaching other people things. If I'm gonna be honest. Um, but I'll actually get a little bit into that later because I saw there was some questions about what I've been doing when I was gone, and I've been actually doing a little bit of mentoring, so I'll talk about that. Um, do you have any planned projects for video series on your channel anytime soon? I've no idea actually, if I'm being honest, because um, uh, the reason I came back now to YouTube is isn't very clear to me. I just thought I'd upload a video of this game engine that I've been spending a lot of time on, and um, but hopefully maybe you guys can help me figure out what kind of videos you want me to make. I have actually one idea. It would be fun to teach you guys ray marching and do some videos about ray marching, because it's a really cool topic. But we'll see. It was just an idea. Then we have another question from Ariel. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce some of your names correctly here. I hope you're doing well now. Where have you been all this time? Will the hello interpreted and TAC compiler series resume? So that's 2 questions. Let's separate them. So yeah, a lot of questions were about this, what I've been doing when I was gone. So I didn't actually plan to just leave YouTube. It just happened because I was working with this foreign customer, which allowed me to retire from my previous job. And that new job, this new customer, that job allowed me to travel wherever I want and work from wherever I want, because previously I had always been working from an office. So I decided I'd travel a little bit. So that's why I went to Portugal. And then during the time I was in Portugal, I was there for like a month or something. I got contacted by some old friend of mine from Sweden, who asked me if I would be interested in becoming a teacher. So he was working for some IT school company thing. They were teaching people programming and stuff. So I actually said yes to that. So I worked part-time as a teacher and part-time with this customer that I had. So my hands were full. I was really busy. So I didn't really have any time to spend on YouTube because I was working so much. And that's probably why I kind of left YouTube, because I didn't have time for it. And then I kind of forgot about that I had a YouTube channel. So I'm really sorry about that. And then, I was a teacher for a while, and eventually I became teacher full-time, teaching students programming and databases and stuff. And then I kind of got tired of that, so I got another job, a job for a company based in US and Canada, I think. So I was working remotely for them for a while. And that was also a really busy job, so I didn't have any time to even think about YouTube at that point either. And I had already kind of forgotten about YouTube at this point. So as you might hear, I was working a lot, and eventually that I kind of got tired of working. And this company, the previous company that I worked for, they had like a big layoff, so they threw away a bunch of people. And unfortunately, I was one of them. Um, and then I thought, hey, I'm gonna take a break from working for a while and just do fun stuff, kind of like a long vacation. And that's where I am right now. Um, and I've been spending a lot of this vacation time on working on that engine, for example, and doing some other projects as well. And about the Hello Interpreter and TAC compiler series, um, I'm not sure if those specifically will resume because during the time I've been away, I've learned a lot. I would say that my skills have improved a lot. And when I look back on the source code of those projects, I kind of cringe a little bit because it's kind of bad. So if I were to uh, continue some interpreter or compiler series, I would probably do that from scratch, so that I can do it in a better way, because I don't like the previous series that I have, just because the code isn't very good. And then we have a question from Isaac H. Lopez. What's your preferred learning method? Books, articles, other source code, video tutorials, etc. Yeah, it's different from time to time. I would say that usually I find interesting concepts from videos because I am subscribed to a lot of people similar to me on YouTube who post a lot of cool stuff and cool ideas. And then I sort of get inspired, and then I read maybe some papers or articles about those concepts so that I can learn more about them. That's actually how I got into ray marching recently. I got this suggestion from YouTube. Some guy was making a ray marcher, and I was like, wow, ray marching is pretty cool. I want to learn more about that. So I tried to find like papers online where they actually described it in text on how to do ray marching. And then I just read through that and learned from that basically. And then also there's a lot of source code online, so you can read other people's ray marching code. So I did that a little bit as well. So I don't have a preferred way of learning. I just use the way of learning that is the most easily accessible method to me at the time. So for example, if I'm on the bus and all I have is my phone, then maybe I'll try to find some short article about the thing I want to learn. But if I'm at home and I'm in like a relaxed context, maybe I would actually sit down and read some actual papers about the topic that I want to learn. So yeah, it's different. Then we have another question here from Isaac. What is your favorite programming language that you haven't created, and why? And what language would you like to try out? So my favorite programming language is, it's probably C, to be honest. Yeah, I would say it's C. And if I were to choose something other than C, difficult question. Yeah, I would say C as my favorite programming language, and then some language that I'd like to try out. I have tried out Rust a little bit, but I would like to play with that a little bit more. So I would say Rust there. Then we have a question from Elifas Boy Sambe. I'm sorry if I pronounced that incorrectly. It's two questions. What is your process to learn new programming technology or language? How do you keep inspiration for all this project? So this first question here, I think I already answered that. I basically use all the methods that is accessible to me at the time. And then also I try to implement something with the stuff that I learned. For example, if I were to just read about ray marching and not actually doing anything with it, I wouldn't learn as fast. This is just me personally. But if I actually build something with it, it kind of gets printed into my brain a little bit better. And then the second question, how do you keep inspiration for all of these projects? It's a combination of being very pedantic and fixated about things being perfect, and lack of anything else more fun to do. So, for example, if we take my game engine for an example, I wasn't initially going to create a game engine. That was not what I had in mind. I found some article, I think it was on Hacker News or something, about physics simulations, and I thought, oh, I've always had issues writing collision detection and physics in my previous games that I've been developing. I want to try to just sit down and write the most accurate and perfect physics simulation engine that I can possibly do. So I got very fixated about things being very perfect. So I read a lot about how physics is supposed to be simulated, both how physics works in real life and how you deal with it inside of a computer. And during that process, I realized, I also need to render something so that I can see the bodies moving around. So I thought, let's bring up a window so that I can render some shapes. And then some other ideas came out from that. Oh, it would be cool to shade these shapes in a cool way so they look realistic. And then I thought, oh, it would be cool to also do shadows. How do I do that? And then I researched about shadows, and I realized I didn't like the most common way of doing shadows with it, which is shadow mapping. So I found about ray tracing, and then I got really hooked on ray tracing. So I started implementing ray tracing into this engine. And from every new topic that I found, from that topic, I found another topic, and it just kept going like that. So my brain was constantly stimulated because I found these new topics all the time to learn and figure out. So that's how my inspiration was kept alive during the time, because it's just how my brain works. It sees patterns in stuff and finds other patterns from that stuff, and then I want to learn about that stuff. And then I kind of shift focus from different parts in the engine. So maybe one day I was focusing on the physics, and then one day I was focusing on the shaders. And that way my inspiration was also kept alive, because I didn't get bored, because I would only, if I would only spend time on one single thing, I think I might have gotten bored quickly. Will you create we have a question here from Luan Freitas. Will you create another compiler from scratch? Maybe. I have actually started writing a compiler that I haven't shown anyone on YouTube. I made this TAC compiler that compiles TypeScript to assembly. But during the time I was away from YouTube, I sort of rewrote that, but in a separate project where I compile just plain JavaScript to assembly. Maybe I'll show that in some video. And then we have a question from Sir Enough. Does your engine use Vulkan? No, it does only use OpenGL at the moment. But I think I have a branch where I've started to work on a Vulkan layer, but I haven't spent any time on that for a very long time. So at the moment it's just OpenGL. Then we have a question from Robert Anton. Dude, you are finally back. Great. What have you been up to and why offline so long? So yeah, once again, I answered this previously. Then we have a question from Draft Cypress. Same question again. So already answered. Then we have a question from Ariel. Do you have a Discord server? I do not, but I could possibly create one if that is something that you people would appreciate. Let me know in the comments if you want me to create a Discord server. I'd be happy to do that in that case. Then we have a question from DG. What inspired you? How the original idea of making your own engine came to you? Yeah, so once again, it started with me wanting to make a physics simulation engine, and then it just turned into something that could be used as a game engine. Yeah, I answered that. I gave you a longer version of that answer previously. And then we have a question from Cone. Can you bring back the compiler series? Also previously answered, but once again, I might do that, but then I will do them from scratch because I don't like the format of the other videos, and I don't like the code that was written in those videos. So that was all of the questions. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I got all of the questions in here. And yeah, I'm happy to be back. I'll see you in the next video.